Heidi in the building. We got Albert in the building. Hold on, music down. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Positively Awesome Wrestling Podcast. We are back once again, week 2 on the relaunch at Wrestle Buddy. And this week, as I said, we will be doing the Positively Awesome Wrestling Lists top 5. This week's list is what opponents we want to see Roman Reigns take on now that he is a babyface, the OTC versus the babyfaces. But before we get into that, obviously we're going to get into introductions here. Tidy, how the heck have you been? How's your week been? And how have you been enjoying your wrestling?
Wrestling's great. Sami Zayn's not letting me down, so I'm happy about that. I got 3 days off of work, so I feel more relaxed, less drinking, since y'all can give me shit about that.
Drink away.
I finally got to relax, man. Epsom salt baths are not to be underrated.
All right. So he's relaxed. That's good. That's good. You need some time off once in a while to just relax and enjoy some good wrestling. Albert, how the heck have you been? I know you've been having a great week. So first and foremost, I guess, congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
thank you, guys. Thank
crap,
you.
That's big news.
Yeah. So for those of you guys who don't know, being that, you guys don't follow me maybe on social media or whatever, but I got engaged yesterday. So really big moment in my life. Love my fiance to death and really happy and excited. So wrestling's great. That's great. Things are great.
That's great. Awesome news. So
thank you,
said,
man.
Wait, what do we got here? We got to do the comments, then we'll get into it. We got
right.
Nick the Geek up in. Hello, lads. Good to see you. Good to have you in the chat, Nick. Good to have you in the chat. And
thank you, Nick.
Congratulations to you. Sorry we couldn't get you in this week, Albert. Albert is in. Nick. Sorry we couldn't get you in this week. Time restrict. I'm trying to figure out the time, and I know this one was going to be a crunch. So let me get you in. I will. I promise you. I will. You know I love you, man. So I'll get you in.
You always love having Nick on.
Amanda, the number 1 fan here, she is so excited for you. And she says to let us know if you need a photographer. I mean, Jimmy, hey, if it gets us to New York, absolutely, 100%.
Sounds like a plan.
But back to the agenda. We have, I did say I would have the greatest shirt of all time this week, and I do, because I am one of the youngest men alive now. Oh, yeah.
Oh, Tidy with the Knuff shirt, though. I don't know. That's a solid one. I just have a Spartan Ray shirt from like 10 years ago. I feel
it's a solid second. It's a solid second out of third. I'll give you that. Ain't beating Outrunners though, baby. This week.
It's funny if you combine your shirt and Tidy's shirt together. It's basically like the Barbie movie, and it almost looks like the Knuff hoodie that my fiance has. So
yeah, we are Knuff. We are Knuff, the Outrunner Nation, baby. But yes, this week's episode is, like I said, the top 5 opponents we want to see for our Roman. Albert's on the brain. I'm just so happy for him, man. I'll break of this Albert.
Who do you guys want to see me face?
Bronson Reed. That's what I want to see you face.
Oh man.
Top 5 people we want to see Roman Reigns face now that he has returned. And before we get into the list, I wanted each of us to break down how we got to our list, what we did, what our thought process was. So with that said, Tidy, I'll swing it over to you first. How did you tackle this list, and what was your thought process in picking your people?
Well, my list was I wanted people that were like credible challengers that I can see them winning, because anytime I watch wrestling, I want to know there's a chance, because it's babyface Roman. It's going to be hard to see anybody really beating him. So I wanted to see people that I know can beat him. That was one. So going through it, and then Albert's like, I'm upset you didn't put Santos on there and Cross on there.
I said I would give you shit too. I would. I said I do.
Rightfully so, because this is me coming from one mind state of I want to see valid contenders. I just don't want to see Santos and and Cross lose, and then I got to hear this shit. Well, they did enough in their promos to get over, but I was like, will they really give them a rematch though? When they're gonna want to give it to like Gunther or newcomers like Obafemi or Seth and Drew and Rock and son of a bitch. So it was hard, but I'm gonna put them on there anyway. Okay, so
good deal.
First, I start with the Rock.
Hold on, we're not gonna do the list yet. We're not doing the list yet. We're just doing the breakdown, and then we'll do 5 through 1.
So I changed my mind and I went back to what I always do, which I'm trying not to do, but it's like my own personal favoritism of people that I think can spit on the mic. So that's who I went with. I think I would get more enjoyment out of seeing these people versus only credible contenders that are possibly can really just win.
All right. Sounds good to me. Before we get to Albert, Courtney says she is here. No apologies necessary. You get here, we can get here. We know. No apologies, Courtney.
Life gets in the way.
Hi, Courtney.
Albert, what about you? How did you tackle your list? What was your thought process going in with this?
My thought process was I wanted strong heels who are people that haven't faced Roman yet. Or I have somebody who maybe who's kind of been in the ring with Roman, but not in this iteration of his character. So that was my thought process. People that we haven't seen Roman face before that are credible. There are two people. There's one person who's an honorable mention in my list so I have two honorable mentions. One that I know, either you or Tidy is going to mention no matter what, and we can just discuss it and it is what it is. I have somebody else on my list that I know for a fact you're going to mention, Jimmy. It is what it is. And there's one other person that I have as an honorable mention that I want to just put out the fact that I would like to see Roman and Cena at some point, but he's not on my top 5. He's like more of an honorable mention. Just in this last run with Cena, a match with Roman would be really, really cool. But with them both being baby faces, I don't know. Maybe we get them teaming up. That might be cooler.
Or Roman,
right? Like that's a dream team. Like I think I'd rather see them team up, which is why I didn't put them as on my list. But like I said, the other honorable mention I have, I know you guys are going to mention. So.
All right, so with my list, the only thing I didn't want to do is put names on there that are obvious. So clearly, number 1 on my list of everyone right now is Jacob Fatu, but we know it's going to happen, so I omitted him from the list.
He's number 5 on mine. I feel like he's got mentioned, but
yeah, the Rock is another one. I know he's going to be there, so I just didn't put him on there. I wanted to really maximize other people and give them some shine here on the show.
Same.
And so that's kind of how I went about it. So I just omitted people like that. And you said that John Cena was an honorable mention. Tidy, what was an honorable mention for you?
Grayson Waller.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
That would be a funny one.
I'm for people who can talk that shit on the mic.
That's fine with me. My honorable mention is Braun Breaker, and the only reason he's not in my top 5, again, I know this is a lot of people's kind of they want to see this one. The only reason he's not in my top 5 because I want that to be more of a passing of the torch kind of match, and I'm not ready for Roman Reigns to pass the torch. We just now get to the point where we love Roman Reigns, so I want to see him kind of do a little bit more. And then before we get into the list, because I always forget to do these things, so I want to hit them up early so I don't forget them. The few people who did comment and give us theirs, we had Liliana Rollins. She's a big Ospreay, Seth Rollins, David Finlay fan. She had Seth and Braun Breaker on there for hers. She had Seth on there like 3 times, so she really wanted to see it. And then we had Kylie Myers, who said Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Cody Rhodes, The Rock, and then without Cody Rhodes. So they want to see the bloodlines up just without Cody Rhodes. That was the big deal for those. That one right there. So those are the 2 that commented, and those were their options. Anybody in the chat that wants to add to it, feel free. Throw your names on there. I will spout them off when I get to them. Promise you, I won't leave you hanging. We are very we talk to the people in the chat. So
absolutely.
Without further ado, we will now jump into the list. And at number 5, we will start with Albert. Because he already kind of told us what was number 5.
Yeah.
5, who do you got, and why did you pick him?
I think the legitimate dream match, I think in everybody's mind right now, the one that we're pointing towards right now, more than even Solo, is Roman and Jacob Fatu. I mean, they've already sowed the seeds of dissension with Jacob, getting up on the apron when Cody calls him out, being the one that Cody said he wanted to face, Solo having to back him up. The I love you, Solo. You are my tribal chief stuff.
I love you, Solo.
He's so good. He's so good at the little things. His facial expressions are ridiculous. He's a monster. I think that it's the natural fit for him and Roman to just, rip each other apart. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. Real quick though, where would you want to see this match happen? When would you want to see this match happen? And who do you want to win it?
So if they're going to do it, I'd actually like to see them. We're in September right now. I would love to see it at Survivor Series, one-on-one. Maybe they do the tag match, this month. Maybe he does something with Solo next month. And then at Survivor Series.
They're doing the War Games, though, man. That ain't.
I know. But if that, all right, so maybe they do that. So maybe at Royal Rumble, actually, that we get Jacob Fatu beating Roman Reigns, and that ascends Jacob Fatu onto this next level. And then the dissension in the seeds get sown in the bloodline with Solo and Jacob Fatu. I did what you're the tribal chief, but I did what you couldn't do. I beat Roman Reigns. You couldn't beat Roman Reigns. I beat Roman Reigns. That's it, and not for nothing. Solo versus Jacob Fatu is higher on my list of matches I'd rather see than Roman versus Solo.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think Solo and especially old school and Tidy, I think you'll appreciate this. Old school NXT Street Fighter Solo Sikoa, versus Jacob Fatu. That's what I want to see.
That'd be great.
So I was literally having this conversation with some buddies the other day about Solo. I think Solo really kind of flourishes in matches like that. Like he did a great job with the cage match. The cage match was great.
Yeah, it was excellent.
His street fights are great. It's like this one-on-one matches where they're kind of confined. I don't feel like he's found his footing yet. So a Jacob Fatu Solo Sikoa street fight would be, sign me up. I'm all for that one. But Tidy, number 5 for you. Who you got and why?
Santos Escobar.
That's what I'm talking about.
I have it because, again, I had to go back to people that I really appreciate that spit on the mic that have what's he been there now, like a year and a half in WWE
on the main roster.
Yeah. So for me, after a year, I'm like, it's time to shine, and that's what I always wait for, because that seems to be the formula. Not many people get to be a Tiffany Stratton and come out and blaze. Not many people are just thrown into this thing even Zoe Stark, you're gonna be right there with Trish Stratus, being a huge storyline. But he was one of those that didn't. So I'm after a year, let him go, right? I thought he shined brilliantly with Ray. I hope they have to amputate your leg. I will never get over that promo. I will never get over that shit. That was some cruel shit. And he said that he meant it. He was staring at him in the hospital, told his mom even, amputate your kid's leg. I hope he never comes back. Brilliant. So
no more 619 for Rey Mysterio.
And he's got since NXT, he's had this whole thing of having his group with him, and they are clearly following him. And when he speaks, you can clearly tell he's the leader. He does that so well. I would just love to see him gang up with his group against Roman. And however that will turn out, I just think he deserves that limelight because he's one of the bad guys out there. That is so good. Have him go against the babyface. That'll elevate Santos. I don't think he'll win, but
yeah. So
get him on that stage.
What I like about picks like this is it gives Santos the biggest stage he could possibly have to do his thing and let people see what he's capable of doing. So that's why I really would like that pick. Before I get into mine, Courtney says, I heard that SmackDown is going to 3 hours in January. Yes, I heard the same thing. I am not entirely thrilled about it.
I'm not surprised. They lost the ad revenue.
Yeah.
So we're going to get it this way. It makes sense.
At the same time, it's on USA. I didn't like the whole Fox presentation. I just wasn't clicking for me. On USA, maybe SmackDown will reel me back in. I'll be a weekly viewer again. But number 5, Nick says he's got Tama Tonga. So I like Tama Tonga getting opportunities too, because that dude's been money since he got there.
Agreed.
Says Bro, you told me you were becoming a fan of CM Punk. What kind of nonsense? You flip-flopping? You flip-flopping more than I flip-flop on some college football teams. That's what I'm talking about. And he said
he's just angling for Tidy's endorsement tonight. He insulted you, he insulted me. He's just angling for Tidy's endorsement. That's what it is.
Lou, I can't.
I'm kind of lost here. I don't know what's going on.
He said he's glad we're back, though. I'm glad you're up in the chat, too, Lou. You big sports, man. I always appreciate it. According to us Patriots all day. That might get you kicked out, though. But anyway, no, I'm just joking. My number 5.
I'm not.
My number 5. I'm on the tidy list here. I'm putting out people that I just want to be given opportunities. And number 5, I am putting Mr. American-made Chad Gable.
Oh yeah.
Because what I'm thinking is, remember that match that Roman had against Buddy Murphy that was just like way too damn good to be on TV, and it was like, oh, Buddy Murphy, why are we not giving Buddy Murphy more opportunities? I think that was the match that kind of like really opened a lot of people's eyes. I don't think people need to have their eyes open for Chad Gable anymore, but I do think it would be a really big eye opener in the sense of maybe he should be in the main event scene. Maybe we need to stop kind of holding this guy down and throwing him in little nonsense feuds. Sorry, with the Wyatt Six, it was a nonsense feud to me. I didn't like it. But with something like Roman Reigns, you get to really see Chad Gable flourish. And that's why I want him at a number 5 here. Because if anybody knows anything, I want Chad Gable to have the world.
It's not even just
pump he's on right now.
You bring up the point of him being this excellent guy that's going to put up this great match with Roman. The promos leading up to that match, too, are going to be absolutely phenomenal as well. Gable is just so underrated. He's really good. And then, it's funny. They made Jason Jordan Kurt Angle's son, but Chad Gable he's really like this almost like second incarnation of Kurt Angle. This monster wrestler who has good comedic timing, who can be taken as a serious threat, but it can also be a goofball if he wants to. And he'd be a goofball in 1 second, and the next second he can be like the most ruthless wrestler in the world. I mean, they're doing a great job with building him here. He needs to be on a bigger stage to do that, and I think a guy like Roman could really elevate him to that next level.
So, no disrespect to Jason Jordan at all. No disrespect to him. But think of where Chad Gable's career would be right now had he been given that. Because I think he could have ran with it.
I agree.
Clearly, because everything he's been given, he runs with. He is one of the masters of making chicken salad out of chicken shit. That's why he's Master Gable. Yeah. Chad is hilarious, but he's also fantastic, and he's good at being like. There's nothing Chad Gable cannot do in the realm of professional wrestling. He checks every single box, and it's that Wyatt Six thing was driving me crazy.
Is he your new Seth Rollins? You said this about Seth a couple times.
What's that?
Is like Seth Rollins like the perfect wrestler? You calling Chad?
I think he's on par with. I think Chad Gable's on par with Seth Rollins. Yes, I think they're in the same stratosphere.
I agree. I just wanted to hear you say it. Thank you.
I think where Seth kind of separates is the opportunities he's been given kind of are better, and he's made the most of them. It's not his fault that he's been given better opportunities. He's just knocked them out of the park, and he's kind of like Triple H's guy. So yeah. But if Chad Gable was given those opportunities, I think he would be in the exact same kind of situation Seth is. I think that highly of Chad Gable. As highly as everyone rates him, I still think he's underrated. Yes.
Until we see him in that upper echelon category within WWE, he's going to be underrated until he gets to where he belongs.
Yeah. He's a force in the ring, and the Wyatt Six is overhyped. It was a waste of Chad's talents. Again, I don't want to poo-poo on the Wyatt Six because I do. Oh, excuse me, burp. I do like a lot of the stuff they're doing. I just didn't like the feud because I knew it was just Chad Gable was fodder, and I think that was just not really fair for the work he's put in. Like with the scheme, it's kind of seemed nonsense. But I like the direction they're going. The promo they had on Raw, the vignette was really good, more serious. Go on, yes, do that. So we will move on to number 4. And for this one, Albert. Number 4, who you got and why?
We've seen this guy in the ring with Roman before, but we've never seen this guy in the ring with Roman before. the hottest heel in the business, the overall number one guy on Jimmy's fanboy list. There's absolutely no way you can't want to see Dom and Roman right now. I mean, if Roman turns babyface, he's, on par being number 1A or 1B babyface in the world. Dom is the hottest heel in wrestling right now. He's only been added to that by having the addition of Liv Morgan. How do you not want to see Dom Mysterio versus Roman Reigns?
I'll reserve mine because I do have Dom on my list. Where he's at, you'll just have to find out.
Number one, I know.
But Ty, do you have anything you like to like? What do you think about a Dom and Roman feud?
I think it's brilliant. The thing is, I'm trying to figure out the timing of it. Like when would I want to see it, kind of thing. Like next year,
after Mania for sure.
Exactly. I think there's other stuff going on, and Dom doesn't need to be the guy that is just swept aside to lead to a bigger match for Roman in WrestleMania, because Roman's a main eventer. So I mean, let that be something that when we see it after WrestleMania, that like this is a big deal, not like this who's next to go to WrestleMania. That's how I feel about it. But I think Dom, it's just his attitude, his snarky little attitude. I mean, how he would do his facials and how he responds and be so damn smug about it, I think would be freaking brilliant. People will be so pissed at him. And I think that is a home run waiting to happen.
Yeah. I feel like everything on our list other than Bloodline members it would clearly have to be after WrestleMania, because they have a path and Roman's not taking any detours. That's not where he's at in the business. He's staying the line. So, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and not say anything about this one because he is on my list a little bit later on, and we'll get Nick. Nick says number 4, Carmelo Hayes. Again, that's a great one because same thing with Gable and Santos. It just puts such a huge spotlight on the guy.
So Nick, just to give you a little behind the scenes look at what we did here, I told Jimmy that when I initially made my list, there were 10 guys on my list. And I was like, how the F do I get this down to 5? And he was like, you got to get it down to 5. It can only be 5. We're just doing 5. And I was like, fine, I'll do 5. But Carmelo Hayes is one of those guys that was on my 10 list. He was one of those guys. I think that it doesn't miss on the mic. He's great in the ring. I think he would really be a really good opponent for Roman.
Yeah, I kept the pimp hand strong, Lou or Nick. Kept the pimp hand strong. Tidy number 4. Who you got? What you thinking with it?
Karrion Kross.
I like it.
Love that.
Because
anybody hates it. Shut up.
I just saw what he did with Xavier. Xavier's doing exactly what Karrion told him to do. Like, eventually you're just going to leave Kofi because Kofi doesn't think highly of you. And it was this whole delivery leading up to that. Karrion does that shit. And just the little videos he's posting on Twitter, I'm just eating that shit up. He's brilliant. The media guy thing he did. But, like, I would think Karrion, where I'd fit him in, then, of course, that's going to be way down the line. But if it did it sooner, I would not be mad because I'm just entertained by Karrion Kross. Again, someone who could spit crazy shit, but at the same time, really make you think, like try to dig under your skin, because he'll try to pull out a dark side in you or something that you refuse to acknowledge. Like, no, that's not this person's nature. And the way he does it is brilliant.
He's very Jake Roberts with how he delivers his promos. There's so many layers to it, and he does it to make you have to kind of like lean in to hear what he's like. What's this guy thinking? Oh, he's sick. He's diabolical. And they have unfinished business because Karrion dropped the hourglass on him.
Thank you. I wanted to say that.
Obviously, Karrion, it hasn't really worked out for him the way a lot of people kind of hoped. I hope something happens and it clicks, because I think Karrion and Roman would be great. The two big kind of like old school wrestlers, in the sense that they're not going in there to try and do a bunch of flips and tricks and all that other stuff. They're gonna just kind of brawl and beat each other down, a slow, methodical match, kind of like Randy and Gunther.
Yeah,
not on that level. Obviously, I think those two guys are significantly better than Roman and Karrion, but it would still be good because those guys are good. They're not bad. So that's a good shout. Before
we move on, I would say, like, I want to see Bronson Reed as a future IC champion. honestly. And then that's when I'm hoping Karrion can go at Bronson. That's my hope right now, honestly.
Karrion was another guy that was close on my list too. I think he's the perfect opponent for Roman. Like you said, unfinished business.
It's funny you bring up Bronson Reed because number 4 for me is Bronson Reed.
Well, that makes it easy for me because he was number 3 on my list, so we don't even have to bother going to number 3.
Just transition into it.
We'll combine them into one.
Clearly, if you've been watching Monday Night Raw for the past 2 months, you know exactly why I want to see Bronson Reed and Roman Reigns. I've been preaching and screaming at anybody that would listen to me since he got called back that the 3 most important and best re-signs that Triple H has made during his era is 1, Chelsea Green, 2, Bronson Reed, and then 3, Nia Jax. Bronson Reed has been fantastic. But because of his, win-loss record and all that people pay way too much attention to, they're like, oh, he's not doing anything. He's not doing anything. They were just waiting for that switch to just flip. And Seth Rollins, that thing flipped. And Bronson Reed has been arguably a top 3 act in all, I won't say in all professional wrestling because I only watch 2 promotions. But as far as WWE and AEW are concerned, I think Bronson Reed is a top 3 act the past 2 months with how damn good he has been. And I look back to Roman Reigns versus Keith Lee and how entertaining just that little bit we got at Survivor Series was. Roman against a guy who's significantly just bigger than him and kind of athletic. Yeah, that's fun. That's fantastic. And I want to see him tsunami splash the OTC right through the ring. That would be phenomenal. And then here you got Nick. He says he's his number 3 as well, which is great. I just mentioned Chelsea Green. What are you talking about? I don't want to see her against Roman Reigns, though. I don't want to see that. I'm sorry.
Bronson, I think Bronson's the perfect opponent for Roman. This is why I picked him at number 3. Nick, great
number 3 right there. There you go.
I think at the end of the day, it's not just about how dominant Bronson's been as a wrestler and as an athlete. I mean, this Monday on Raw, that whole deal with him going through that concrete wall with Strowman, so much fun. Like, it's so fun to see like this car crash kind of stuff again. We saw a lot of it during like the hardcore, matches back in the day. And I like that WWE is figuring out ways to reincorporate some of this more fun stuff. And it doesn't have to be in the context of a match. We can have backstage brawls and attacks. Out of nowhere, the turnbuckle rips off and stuff like that. I think Bronson and Braun is the perfect setup for Bronson to beat a guy like Braun, to be elevated to the upper echelon of WWE. He can talk better than everybody ever gives him credit for. The guy has an excellent promo. He's an awesome wrestler. He moves way better than he should. He's great at everything he does. He's a legitimate like bowling ball of a professional wrestler, and I'm here for it. Let him just roll at everybody and wreck through everybody. Him and Roman would be money.
That man's hitting suicide dives. That's amazing. That's incredible.
Unbelievable.
So fun. And the turnbuckle spot, I'm glad you brought it up because I literally blinked and missed it. And I was like, what the heck just happened? And then once it dawned on me what they were doing, I was like, oh, we're about to see like a car crash here. And it was so damn fun. Like it was so fun.
And different from the literal car crash that we saw them have a couple of weeks ago where he tsunami'd him through a car. I love this stuff. Give me more of this. Like two big guys just beating on each other. It's so much fun.
Even though it wasn't a match, I think what their brawl proved is you don't need to have a 20-minute match for something to be that damn entertaining. That was far more entertaining than any wrestling match I saw last week. Sorry if that offends you. I don't care. It was fun, and it was amazing. It was incredible, and Reed is the modern-day Bam Bam Bigelow. I don't know if I want to give him that much credit yet, but I do love Bronson Reed. Again, I've been screaming his name from the rooftops, so I'm glad he's finally kind of found his place on the card. Thank you for finally unleashing the beast. Oh, he's so damn good.
So good.
Number 3, where you at? What you thinking?
Me? Or
yeah,
Albert?
Albert, that was his number 3. We just transitioned from my 4 to his 3.
I got Seth Rollins. And I get it, it's a babyface versus babyface, but what did you say back? What did you say back when it was Seth and KO fighting? And it's more of like who's better. And that's what I want. I want that after WrestleMania. I want to see Steph step to Roman, because there is that thing of Seth saying like he wants to be the greatest. But right now, we're all considering Roman to be the greatest after what he just came off of, and now he's finally a babyface. Like, that's something that Seth wants, and I don't think he would be shy about saying it. And that's what I want ever since I mean, a while ago, and that will be a trilogy.
It's a very easy story to get into too, because Seth could literally just interrupt Roman and be like, "I'm tired of hearing you're the greatest. How can you be the greatest when you haven't even beat me?" Then you're off to the races. Like, so even if Seth's still a babyface at the time, there's still a great story there. Like, and honestly, that's a great way to turn Seth heel too. Like during that feud, because I've noticed this a lot, and I was talking to another buddy of mine the other day about this. Is I love how all the heel turns in WWE right now, there's purpose with them. Like, there's no just wonky nonsense. They have legit gripes to be mad and acting the way they act.
Drew, Chad Gable. I mean, you can run down.
It's coming.
Maybe he's on his way too. But like, they're sowing seeds of dissension, and I love that. And I think that that's a great way. I think it's hard to turn Seth right now. His music is so over. He's so over. There's a lot to do it. But Tidy, I'm 100% with you. I think it's a story that's worth delving into. You have Roman, who's never beaten Seth one-on-one. You have Seth, who has, is in this position where he's being claimed to not being number one overall. Meanwhile, the guy who they're talking about is like, when did this guy beat me? I mean, it's the perfect story to tell, even if they are both baby faces. Like, Cody and KO prove that you don't need to be, a big
story. It doesn't matter.
To draw money and to do it, good. These guys are, they go back to the Shield. I mean, Seth is the one who stuck the knife into Roman. I mean, there's so much to go into with them. It's the perfect story.
Yeah. And after what happened at WrestleMania, might as well finish it. Honestly, Seth did all that shit for Cody because he knew it would antagonize Roman. I mean, like, Seth's that could be in his promo. Like, when am I going to get my damn crack at you at this point? That you get to fight everyone else to claim that they're the best in the world for the Universal title. It's his turn eventually. It's got to be. And I want to see it.
What bothers me the most about their feud, though, like if they have their other grand match that they definitely should, is I think that's a WrestleMania main event deserving match. 1,000%. If there's ever been a match, that's it. I don't know where it fits in, though, based on what I feel like the trajectory of Roman's next few matches are at WrestleMania, because I think he's not facing Rock until 42.
Damn, really?
Yeah. I think there's a triple threat in play for 41. But I could be wrong. I'm not always right. But I think if they do have their match, it needs to be a WrestleMania match. Seth deserves that more than anything. Like,
he does.
It's just criminal. He's the macho man of this generation. He literally is. Like, he's just not going to get them flowers until it's too late. He's gone. Like, that's what sucks here. But
guy's coming off one of the best title runs we've seen in forever, and he still doesn't get enough recognition for what he does. Yeah. Unbelievable.
If I had to guess, I would say SummerSlam of next year. That would be if I'm just throwing a dart at the board, SummerSlam of next year would be Seth Roman again. That's a great summer feud.
Oh, yeah. That can carry you through the entire summer.
But great transition, because my number 3 is from a match that we should have got at SummerSlam in 2022, and it was taken from us because of an injury, and that is Randy freaking Orton at number 3. What makes this better, though, than the SummerSlam 2022 match is that Randy will be a heel this time, and Randy operates significantly better when he is a son of a bitch. I was a little bit mad that I didn't get to see that match because that's the SummerSlam I went to. But I couldn't be too mad because the Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns match we got was insanity. It was knuckin' futz, man. It was great. But I want to see Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns, and I want to see it so bad. And I don't want to hear about we've seen Randy versus Roman in the big dog era. Roman is not the big dog anymore.
Thank you.
It is night and day different between what those two guys are. If they were to face each other, the tribal chief would massacre that boy. he would send that puppy to the pound. Like, it's not even close. Randy Orton versus right here. Yeah, I knew you'd like this one, Lou. I know this is your boy. Even though you were dogging on CM Punk, I'm shouting out your boy, the Legend Killer versus the Legend in the Making. Come on, man, that would be so sick. And the Randy heel turn's coming. We know it is because Cody done pissed off all his friends signing up, and oh my goodness, if we had time to talk, I'd bitch about that for like 30, 45 minutes. But in a fan's perspective, not from the crybaby perspective.
Of course, no, like a normal person. Yes, look.
Yeah, there you go. I might tune in. I'm going to tune into NXT on the 1st. I might tune in on the 8th, depending on what the 1st does for me. I don't want to see Roman. Hold on. What does he say? What does he say? I don't want to see Roman versus Randy. Well, too damn bad because you're going to have to see it. It was taken from us. They have to go back and fix that, man.
Tidy, what do you think? Because before I get on my soapbox.
Yeah. What, you have any kind of indifference or, I guess, excitement?
No, because I'm just taking it from a physicality standpoint of how polished, I mean, both in their own ways are in the ring. That would be a brilliant match to watch, but it's more because Roman's yoked. Roman's a big dude, and then when Randy came back, Randy is cut. Randy is. I want to see that, and probably have to slow down the Roman's pace to a certain extent, but
nobody does the slow pace better than Randy, though. Like,
exactly.
So that makes that match. It's another one of those Gunther Randy matches. I think it'd be fantastic.
So yeah, I'm just happy just because if Randy wasn't as big when he came back, I wouldn't be as pumped. But the fact that he is that big now and can literally stand face to face with him,
he's guy,
they're both.
He's bigger than Roman now. Yeah, 100%. He's bigger than Roman.
Probably because Randy
dwarfed Gunther, man. Gunther was like, I'm gonna beat you. Like, it was.
Randy's a big dude, and no one realizes how big of a dude Randy is because when he came in, we had bigger dudes around him. Randy's a
big dude.
Yeah, Randy's a big dude.
Yeah, he's a biscuit shy.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
Yeah, he said he had to stop eating all that Nutella. He was getting too damn big. Go ahead, Albert. I'll give you 2 minutes to give me your Randy take.
I'm gonna give it to you real quick. I can kind of because you kind of summed it up in the exact same way as I did. This is a different kind of Randy Orton versus a different kind of Roman Reigns. It's not the same in either way. They're both completely different. They're on different planes, different trajectories. Orton has been fire. He's been money since he's come back. He's been the one constant in the WWE that never seems to, even when it just seems like maybe he's getting a little bit boring or he's slipping or something like that, he reinvents himself just enough to just give himself enough fire to get to where he needs to be. He has been unreal since he's gotten back. Him and Roman would tear it up right now.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic. So with that, we will transition into the number 2 spot. Now we're getting into the nitty gritty of things. Albert, who do you got at number 2, and what are you thinking about it?
The undeniable badass Braun Breaker. I mean, it's one of those matches that it's the big dog versus the dog, and it's just it's gonna spear versus spear. The similarities are crazy. There's a chance that this happens, like you said, a passing of the torch moment, Jimmy. I don't even think it's just a passing of the torch. It's a passing of a wise man. It's the passing, it's the passing of a generation. This is how you anoint Braun Breaker as the guy. The feud with Roman Reigns, he can hold his money. He can hold his money on the mic. He can hold his money in the ring. Breaker and Roman is just, it's a natural, feud. It's not. I don't want to see it right now. No, but if Roman's going to be a babyface, he's going to be a babyface for a little while because it's going to be hard to turn him back. Braun Breaker's the right guy.
Yeah, like Braun. I always thought, like, since he got there, Braun Breaker's kind of being tailor-made to be one of the guys, and the speed in which he's got to where he's at right now is kind of incredible. Like, I did not see that coming. The heel turn was great from NXT, and he's kind of just been on a rocket ship ever since. Like, he's just taken off. I like his trajectory, and of course, like I said, he's my honorable mention. I just didn't do it because I don't. It's a down the line match for me.
It is. It's very same here, but I mean, if Roman's going to be a babyface for a while. That's one of the matches I need to see.
And then we got at number, he says number 3. He meant number 2, though. He's got the Ring General, Gunther. Which is
we'll talk about that later.
And then he says, when is Jay going to get a belt? He won't get it from He's going to get a tag team belt, but that's when he's going to get a belt because he ain't winning no singles titles. Yeet. That's what I'm talking about. Screw that Yeet Jay Master.
Speaking of Jay, Jimmy's another guy that I want to put on. I just want to throw out there. I still want to see Jimmy and Roman.
Yeah, we didn't see that.
We never saw it.
I don't think I need to see it, honestly. I'm a Jimmy Uso guy. No Yeet. Anybody that's against the Yeet, I'm with. I just don't think I don't think I need to see it.
Better match than Jay. Wasn't that in the beginning of the Bloodline story? It was fighting Jay and then fighting Jimmy.
He fought Jay. I don't think he ever fought Jimmy because Jimmy was like the one that was stuck in the middle of it all.
Right. Jimmy
choked Jimmy out during the match. I'll look it up. I'll go to you, Tidy. What's your number 2 and what are you thinking about it?
Drew McIntyre, because another person that can talk real shit and honestly and mean that shit. So I think he'll have a lot of ammo to use against Roman, and because Drew's demented in the way he thinks, but it's justified just right, that he can make me look sideways at Roman with some of his logic, and I'm living for that shit. Anything that Drew McIntyre does and talks shit about people, I'm all for it. So I think Drew would. That's why he's at my number 2. There's someone else at my number 1. Drew could have easily took my number 1. I had a hard time putting him at 2.
I'm gonna go ahead, man, dude. I didn't even think of Drew McIntyre, but I would love to see this Drew McIntyre face Roman because I think you would realistically Drew could beat Roman. I know it's booking up to booking it, but I think because of how good Drew is at this point, I don't think it's crazy to think that they would book Drew to beat Roman right now. That's how good Drew is. That's a fantastic pick. I can't even believe I didn't see that one.
Well, there's also The Rock giving him that belt or whatever, that honorable mention in that visit when he was eating dinner or whatever. I mean,
Ford.
That's enough tie-in right there. I mean, Drew may even bring that shit up. It doesn't matter. Drew's got ammo for days. I'm not worried about that.
The Rock could literally just send Drew after him as part of their feud over the next year between WrestleMania.
Sure.
That's a great shot. Dude, hell yeah, Tidy. That's a good one. That might be one of my favorite picks we've had so far, honestly. Heard Jimmy Uso. I don't know. I've also seen that someone reached. I think it was Sean Ross Sapp reached out to WWE and they said he's fine. I don't know. Rikishi's kind of off his rocker at this point. He says just wild stuff all the time. But I don't know. I also don't like speculating on health stuff. If it's not the information they're given, it's not information I need. That's how I look at it. So if he isn't, hope so. I hope he's doing better. If he's not, then cool. I do miss Jimmy Uso though. No Yeet. My number 2 is Dirty Daddy Riz Master Papa D Dominic Mysterio. And I know you're probably all like, well, that's your number 1. I had to be realistic here a little bit. You know what? Not even a little bit. This is a great pick because, as Albert said earlier, there's history there. Dominic has to come back and get his receipt because his deadbeat dad dropped the ball big time. If you want to talk about why is Ray such a deadbeat, man, if anybody took my son and powerbombed him out of the ring onto the floor below, this is one of my favorite things to do in WWE 2K because it's so nasty and it would hurt if it happened in real life. And Roman did this to Rey Mysterio's son, Dominic Mysterio. Poor Dominic. And Ray, but man, if it's happened to my son, I'm not stopping until I'm in the dirt, until I take that man down. You don't do that to my son. And Ray said, I lost, time to move on. You piece of poop. Like, that's not how it works. Now Daddy Dom is like this hardened criminal. He's coming back for that receipt. There's Roman, you said earlier he might be the number 1 babyface. No, there's no question about it. He's the number 1 babyface in that WWE right now. They were booing Cody Rhodes on SmackDown when he interrupted Roman. There wasn't a lot of boos, but they were there. It's going to start growing. It's going to start growing for sure. Roman is on another level. And I always look at Dominic. How because he's already getting all this heel heat. And I said, well, you have him break up with Rhea, put him with Liv. That's going to take him to another level. How do you get him to another level? You put him in there against Roman Reigns. Ooh, give that to me, inject it in my veins. I need to see that. Listen here, Lou, you're 2 strikes, man. One more strike, Lou. I swear, man. I swear to goodness. I swear to goodness, hard good. He ain't no soft, Lennon. What you talking about? He ain't no snuggles. That ain't what this is. Dom is like if you threw a brick into the dryer if you wanted to beat your clothes up. He ain't no soft linen nonsense bullshit. Dominic Mysterio versus Roman Reigns is going to feed generations and generations and generations. That will be one of the most fun atmospheres of all time if they could build that matchup the way they should. And don't call me crazy here. With the way the WWE crowds are lately, put this in a one overseas because those crowds are awesome. Matter of fact, do it in Puerto Rico. And let that crowd take this match to the next level. And I'm talking a Rock Hogan level environment. When you get the number 1 heel, legit, not just because of what he's doing. The crowd is telling you he is the number 1 heel. I don't care about booking shit. Shut up about it. Listen to the crowds. Dominic is the number 1 heel, and Roman is the number 1 babyface. If they can keep that trajectory and you put them in an environment with one of those international crowds and the story is built up perfectly, that match is going to be magical. Especially since Roman Reigns is really, really, really good at being a ring general in matches now. And Dominic sells like a mother. Oh, my God. Oh, feed that shit to me. That would be so incredible. It's probably would be my favorite match of the ones I have listed. It's just not the one I'm looking forward to the most, unfortunately, because there is one that is just incredibly good. And I have a feeling we all have it as our number 1. We're about to find out. Don't laugh. It ain't fun.
You guys have it there, but there are 3 names we haven't mentioned before we get to number 1. There are 3 names we haven't mentioned that I am shocked that we've made a list that haven't been mentioned. And that's Finn Balor, who has, the perfect story with Roman. Top rope got cut on this dude.
Well, that's Brock's fault.
What the hell ever happened to that? Why the hell did that not ever get covered? Finn's got a perfect in there.
Oh, man, that was silly.
Damian Priest is another one I'd like to see, but now that he's a babyface, it's hard. He'd be on my list if Damian was still a heel, I think. But I think that those guys could make a lot of money together.
Yeah.
And Nick mentioned the number 1, CM Punk. It's, I'd love to see Punk and Roman, but again, it's really hard with Roman being a babyface to do him versus Punk. I think we could do it.
If you give me heel CM Punk, bro, that's numbers that eclipses everything for sure. But yeah, I don't think the match needs to happen. I just don't. CM Punk beat the Shield by himself. I don't need to see CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. How about that? How about that, Lou? He beat Dean Ambrose, a.k.a. John Moxley, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns all by himself. He ain't no poopy. Get out of here with that. And then Courtney says Sami Zayn. So now we're into the number 1s. Albert, you're up. Number 1, who you got? I know who it is. Who it is.
Mine's different than the 2 of you guys. I know who your number 1 is, and I figured that I wasn't going to make him number 1 because I think it's the obvious one too. But my number 1 is Gunther. I think that it's the final boss's final boss at this point. Roman was the big nasty heel for the longest time. It's Gunther now. There's no doubt in anybody's mind. He's the number 1 overall heel in pro wrestling right now. Roman, like you said, okay, we get it. Cody was getting booed too. It's 1A and 1B with Roman and Cody right now. Whoever you want to put on top, either way, Gunther's the main guy for both of those guys that we want to see him face. I think he is great in the ring. He's proven that he's gotten so much better on the mic. He knows how to rip into everybody's weaknesses. He's the perfect pro wrestler. He's my favorite wrestler outside of Finn Balor, who for sentimental reasons is my number 1. It's Gunther, who is like 1B right now. As my favorite. He's ridiculous at everything he does. I want to see him and this Roman Reigns go one-on-one.
Tidy, is your number 1 Gunther? Don't tell me who it is if it's not.
It's not.
Okay, so I'll go because my number one is Gunther as well.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because in my opinion, Gunther is the best wrestler in the world. Like,
yeah,
it's not a question to me. There are some people who have elevated themselves over the year that I would love to give credit. I could, but we're doing this list. I'm sticking to it. We're gonna get on it out. But Gunther to me, head and shoulders above everyone else because he is when he's beating someone's ass, like it looks legit. And he's not going in there to have a wrestling match. He's going in there to beat you down. And I don't think Roman Reigns has ever had anybody like that before. I think Jacob Fatu might be like that, but I don't think so. I think because Brock's just suplexing all over the place. Gunther's going to beat you down, and Roman ain't got no flak jacket anymore to protect him from them chops. That man's going to get busted open, and and Gunther, I think he might be the most underrated guy on the microphone.
So good.
Get loud. He don't need to say a lot. You just need to believe what he's saying, and I believe it. He's smug. He is the most arrogant prick on that microphone, and he backs it up. He don't need people to help him win matches like Roman Reigns did when he was the top heel. Gunther is just the guy who just destroys you. And Roman as, the one tribal chief, the big dog, the one that, that everyone loves, and having Gunther take him down a notch, that would send him to the top. That's the one thing Gunther is missing at this point is not taking down one of those top guys. Even though he just beat Randy Orton, it's later in his career. It's not the same. He needs to take down Roman Reigns, and then I think he solidifies himself as the man in WWE, even more so than Cody Rhodes. It's just not the same because Cody's the babyface and Gunther's the heel. He's the perfect heel. He's the perfect wrestler, and Roman Reigns is the fodder here. He needs to be just served to Gunther on a silver platter. So I'll swing it over to you, Tidy. I do know who it is now. It makes sense now, but I'm more than happy to hear the reasoning for it because I love him too. Who's your number one?
No. I'm not going to say what you think. I was going to say that Gunther. I love Gunther. I watched him since NXT UK, and his thing is he's a ring general.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's just beating your ass because of the chops or the drop kick Tyrannosaurus kick that Corey deemed it. He just wrestles. He will put your ass in a sleeper hold.
Yeah.
Stop. Throw you against the ropes, clothesline you, and then before you can move, he will pick you up and powerbomb you.
Yeah.
He's done that shit to multiple people, and when he decides to turn it on, which he always turns it on besides chopping the shit out of you. I mean, he's just a pure wrestler.
Yeah.
But
that's kind of my point. That's kind of my point with him. You don't know what you're going to get in a Gunther match. Yeah. I feel like there's so many wrestlers that are formulaic with their stuff. You kind of know what they're going to be doing in their match. With Gunther, I really don't know because he's so good at just being I'm going to do it this way, then I'm going to do it this way, then I'm going to do it this way.
One minute he's working on your chest, then it's your arm, then it's your leg, then it's your neck, then it's your head. It's so good.
Yeah, but my thing was I have my hopes, and I think I believe, and I wanted to hear your opinion. Are they going to draw this shit out with Sami Zayn? Because Sammy's I beat you, man. And I love that shit on Raw. I'm sorry. And I know everybody's
Sammy's it's bad blood. It'll happen to bad blood.
I want to see it continue, though. I want to see this shit continue because Gunther ain't ready for WrestleMania. Come on, give it to me, damn it. I'm sick of it. I want it. He beat Gunther for the IC title, which no one gave him credit that he would do it that night. No one thought it. I was sitting there hoping and praying, lighting candles and shit during that match.
Highlight of the weekend for me, man.
I had a tissue box next to me in case he fucking lost.
I was the person fucking won, and I still cried. Didn't care.
I ran around my house. I still cried. Fucking Sammy beat him, right? But now I'm thinking, I'm seeing him talk to Gunther, and I want that. Anyways, my number one was because of nostalgia, because of Sammy, because of what happened after. It's more bloodline. I want to see The Rock. I'm sorry. And I know.
Okay. Yeah.
I want the bloodline story of where they're going with it, how they're going to establish it, whether Jimmy, whether Jay, and there's no one better than The Rock to come in is that big, bad corporate asshole. I really believe it's going to be The Rock and Roman at WrestleMania this year. It might as well. So I just, because I'm nostalgic with him, and I get it. Gunther could be better, and Drew could be better, and I had a big list and it was hard.
No,
but man,
the Rock
I want the
match is
bloodline
incredible.
story back.
Yeah,
I want the bloodline.
yeah. No, I'm with you. Tidy,
I want the
you
bloodline
mentioned it
story back.
because it's
You don't have to convince me.
yeah, it's
Thank you.
As much as I want to see, I didn't put Rock on there because I figured one of you two guys that was going to be your number one. Like that's literally the only reason why I didn't put Rock on there. So, it's the dream after dream matches.
He probably would have been number 3 on my list had I included him, because again, you saw how passionate I was about Dominic. I think it would be incredible. I think Rock will be I think it'll be incredible though. It will be, because it's The Rock. I mean, I don't care what anybody wants to say about the guy. He just brings a different kind of atmosphere to the game. And that's the dream match we've all been waiting for like 4 years now. So yeah, that's a great number 1. It's clear that's a match that needs to happen. The reason I don't think it's happening at 41 is because Rock literally told Cody the night he left, whether you have that title or not, I have you at WrestleMania next year. So if you want me to explain to you how I think we're getting a triple threat, I think Roman's winning the Royal Rumble. And then he's going to challenge Cody. And then The Rock's going to just throw himself into the match because he's on the board. He can do whatever the heck he wants. And then you're going to have this incredible triple threat with 3 of the biggest names. No, these 3 biggest names in professional wrestling right now. And it's going to be incredible. And it's in Las Vegas. They really want to make that like, oh. So that's why I think you're going to get Rock versus Roman one-on-one at 42 instead of 41.
Okay,
but
that makes sense.
It's a great match. Like, your number 1 is legit. You don't have to sell us. Like,
100%.
And just to get this out of Courtney, he does have Kaiser by his side, but Kaiser rarely helps this man. Like, he rarely helps Gunther.
It is rare, very rare.
Yeah.
You stole my idea, Jimmy. Well, great minds think alike, Nick. That's what I got to say about that.
Throwing this out there for you, Tidy, and just throwing this out there because we just haven't really seen. We've seen them go at it before, but again, not in this iteration. I would like to see a heel Sheamus versus a this current version of the Reigns too.
Just kill for that.
We missed
it.
As we know,
the fact we got Sheamus and Roman is crazy.
Sheamus is all about the fight. So like,
yeah,
Roman's going to come out bludgeoned just as much as he would with Gunther because Sheamus stood up to Gunther.
Yeah,
I mean, so leverage this veteran. He's still the king of the fight, in my opinion.
He just re-signed too, so he's there.
He did. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really, really happy that he did.
So that's our list. Great list, guys. And Tidy, again, I want to applaud you for the
Drew.
I forgot again.
Drew.
The Drew McIntyre. That was a great pick. Like, I cannot believe I didn't think of that. I think it's because they just wrestled not that long ago. So I'm like, oh, but no, that's a great pick because Drew is on a whole other planet at this point. And he was great in Killer's Game, everybody. So go watch that because it was a really fun movie. But that's the show. Great list, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for participating. We had Lou, we had Court, we had Nick, we had Amanda early on, and I really appreciate all that. Anybody that watches it past this, thank you for watching as well. Next week, we'll be back once again on the same channel at the same time, and we will be doing Superstar Spotlights, in which we will be taking one superstar. One of us is going to choose one. We're gonna take turns. I haven't decided who, but just like last week, I will put it on the Twitter machine, and then we'll go from there. We're gonna basically dedicate the entire show to just talking about their best matches, their best moments, what we think is going on for them going forward, or if it's someone from the past, we'll just spend time talking about all their fantastic matches. Like, I could see Albert down here bringing up Macho Man, and that's fine with me. I'll spend an hour talking about Macho Man, baby.
I can talk all day and night about the Macho Man.
Great show. Thank you very much, Nick, and thank you very much, Courtney. So, Superstar Spotlight, we'll be back next week with that, and then the week after that will be Bad Blood. So you know what we'll be doing then. And
can't wait to spend a whole hour talking about Dom Mysterio next week. Woo!
Hey, I might not be picking, so.
Okay.
It might be Tidy. We don't know yet. We'll know by Saturday. How about that? I'm going to put it into a randomizer, and we'll do it that way. So, hey, and guess what? We are literally right under an hour, which is fantastic because that's what we are aiming for. So thank you all for joining. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe stuff. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, go subscribe to the channel. Follow Wrestle Buddy if you want some news information, all up-to-date stuff. They got a great team behind them now, and they got some great articles. So make sure you go do that as well. And we will see you all next week. Toodles.
Toodles.